Hey, good morning. This is Dirk Larson, and this is my video response to the assignment, Practice Seeing Your Media. The media that I'm going to use for my final project and for what I'm using for this assignment is the 1983 Russell Mulcahy movie, Highlander. The reason why I chose Highlander is because it's a movie that I've seen at different points in my life, and I saw different things, which is kind of the idea behind this assignment and what I was thinking about when I read about the final project. So I saw it first in junior high, and I saw it as just an action movie. I saw it in high school. A lot of my friends that also lifted weights and played sports, we saw it sort of differently then. We identified with the villain, and it was a lot about, aggression and anger and what do you do with that. And then I saw it as a young adult because as the mediums changed, it went from VHS to DVD and then finally Blu-ray, they kept recutting the movie because it was actually a movie filmed in Europe, but then edited for American audiences. And the version they showed in Europe was very different. It wasn't like gorier or more explicit or anything like that. It was just longer, and it was me learning about how scenes can totally change the message of a movie. And then I haven't seen it in 15, 20 years now because my wife thinks it's the stupidest movie of all time. Let's see here. So as I watched the first 20 minutes, the first thing that I noticed that I hadn't noticed before, the opening shot takes place in Madison Square Garden at a wrestling match. And the camera work nowadays would be done with a drone. And at that time, it was either done with a wire or some other mechanical device. And so seeing it now in 2020, you can really appreciate the work and effort that they put into that. I'm reading down my notes here. By the way, there's like 5 sequels to Highlander, a TV show and a Japanese animated movie. None of those were the original writers and directors, so they all are. I wrote the word suck here. I probably should find a better word for a school project. So the next thing that I noticed in the opening 20 minutes was the use of lighting and movement. And so the way that the director draws your attention to the protagonist is movement around him and a lack of movement on his part, and then also lighting around him and then different lighting on him. So it draws your eye to his character. Now, interestingly, the first time I saw it when I was in junior high, what I had assumed was, oh, he's out for tonight's entertainment. That's why he's watching a wrestling match. But watching it now and cut the way it was originally cut in Europe with some flashback scenes, what you realize is the protagonist is actually hundreds of years old, and he doesn't find violence entertaining in the slightest. He's at this wrestling match because he was drawn there because he's actually going to have a fight with somebody else. And so again, it's what you're seeing differently as you get older and seeing something again for the first time, if that's the right expression, where it was like, no, he doesn't want to be there, as opposed to that's what I thought at the first time. The use of music. The soundtrack was actually done by the band Queen, which was kind of in a down point of their career at the time. And so they did the whole soundtrack for the movie, although it's not non-stop Queen rock. There's actually classical music or classically inspired music mixed in. And so that was the next thing that I noticed, is that they were using Queen music to start it out, and then as the director was trying to go to a different emotional place, he changed to classical music. And then I was looking at the facial expressions of the 2 men that are in the opening fight scene. So what you realize, the first time I saw it, it was just as if they were two combatants. And what I realize now, after seeing the movie and having a different perspective and being older, is they actually were friends that were forced to, by a set of circumstance, have to fight against each other. And the chief protagonist doesn't realize that when they first meet. And this is also a very good opening scene for a nonverbal class, because there are only 5 words of direct dialogue in the first 20 minutes that I watched. There's some background like shouting and stuff like that. But so you're getting all your information from facial expressions, postures, decisions people make as far as unsheathing their weapons. The next thing is my appreciation of editing. After having seen decades of movies, a lot of times my criticism of movies that I see these days, not that I get to see a whole lot of movies, is the editing. What did the director decide to leave in versus take out, and the way that scenes transition, and the editing in the opening scene, again with 5 words of dialogue, is very important and very interesting. And again, something I didn't see when I watched the movie for the first time as a teenager. And the last note that I have was the interpretation of physical appearance versus ability. The people in the movie, probably other than the main villain, are not physically imposing, yet they're all actually very dangerous. And they're dangerous because they've lived for hundreds of years and developed their fighting style over that period of time. And even people that don't live for hundreds of years, you don't really know what they're capable of. Be that in as far as intelligence, as far as work ethic, or if you want to try to put it, towards the ideas in this movie, their fighting ability or their ability to be dangerous. My oldest son is very thin and passive, yet he has all kinds of awards in martial arts, and actually would be somebody that you would not want to involve in a physical altercation. So those are the things that I got from the first 20 minutes that I watched, and I'm looking forward to watching the rest of it for the final project. I'm going to go to work, and when I come back, I'll respond with video comments on what you guys put. Thanks.